Hi there, welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Docker-based development environment using Docker or Docker Compose, whichever you prefer. So in the last setup, we actually did a setup that directly communicates with the Stellar Network testnet. So that means that when you deploy your smart contract, you are deploying to the global testnet. But in this one, I'm going to be showing you how to run your RPC node locally so that you can deploy your smart contract locally and build your decentralized applications all locally. So let's look at Docker. This is not a tutorial on Docker, but Docker is an open platform for developing, shipping, and running applications. So Docker enables you to separate your application from your infrastructure so that you can deliver software quickly. So Docker, I think it falls in the same category like having a VM running, but it's more like lightweight than a VM. So fast, consistent delivery of your application, responsive deployment and scaling, running more workload. So you could see here how it actually works. So basically, if you look at this diagram here, I think let me open it on a new page so that we see. So basically, you are the client here. So you do Docker run, and it has this on your host. There's something installed, so called the Docker daemon that interacts with your images and run what they call containers. So and then you have a registry where you could pull the containers from. So people build containers. For example, the Stellar team could build an image for Soroban, the Soroban RPC server here. So it could be located here where you see the registry. So your goal as a developer is to pull the image. So you see you do a Docker pull through the daemon. So you see this line below here. So it pulls that image to your machine. And then the next thing is that you can build the image. So you build the image, that means you can modify the image, make it suitable for you, and store it locally on your host. You see, this is your own machine. And then from it being an image, you can run it as a container, and that application can now be live. So you have the Docker pull where you pull the container, for example, the one Stella has built, database application. So Docker has this thing called so for example, they have this Docker Hub, which is the world largest container registry. They call it discover, share, and integrate container images. So this is where the container images are being stored that you're going to pull to your machine. So if you look at that diagram once more, so that is similar to the container. This is the container registry we're talking about here. So this is the Docker Hub. So here, for example, you could start search for like Stella, and you could see here, you see that so many here. You see Satoshi Stella Core. So let's say Stella Quick Start. And then here, you could see it was updated 8 days ago. So this is how you pull it. So if we go back to the diagram here, so you'll be pulling it to your machine. And then you could modify it if you want by building it again into an image. And then you could run it as a container. And then you could have this Stellar image up running. So you see, so here is kind of like a description of what makes the Stellar image. So they're saying this Docker image provides a single way to run Stellar Core and Horizon locally for development and testing purposes. So if you want to look for instruction, there is a link here that takes you to where you will definitely see other information about how to use it and how to set up a lot of other stuff. So, but here you see here, they're telling us that the image uses the following software. So it has Stellar Core, it has Horizon, it has FriendBot, and it has Soroban RPC. So, and then here they're telling you about the usage, how you can use it with dash dash local, dash dash testnet or whatever. So you could, if you want to like read more about it, you could do this. So, but for me right now, what I'm going to be showing you is that we are going to be running it on our machine. So I'm also going to be providing something in the comment section of this video where you could see like the basic cheat sheet for Docker. So where how you can work with images, you can build your own images, you can check the images that you have locally, and then you could also run containers based on those images. So As I told you, this is not a Docker class, but I will try as much as possible to kind of like make even beginners to catch up with this. So if you don't have Docker installed on your system, the thing you need to do is come download it. So if you just come here, so you could download Docker here. Let's see. So just put Docker download. So you could download it for Windows, Mac, and even Linux PC. So if you click, for example, for Windows here, it will download the executable, the installer. So when you get it installed on your system, it's going to look like this. So you're going to get Docker desktop. So this is how it will look like. So you could also follow a tutorial on how to do that. If you also need that, you could also comment that you need a tutorial on it. But I think there are so many tutorials on how to install Docker. So this is how the Docker desktop looks like. So I'm starting the Docker engine right now. So you have images, you have containers. So let's run the Soroban image. So there is a guide here. So there's a guide here that I'm also going to be providing in the description that shows you exactly what you need to do. So here you see here, so to run it on standalone, to run a local standalone network. So this is the image. So what I will do is that I'm going to copy this, but I'm going to convert it to Docker Compose. So I have this tool here called Composerize. So what it does is that Docker Compose enables you to run Docker more easily. So than using the Docker run command. So you have to always copy it and run it. So we want a script that we could just call docker-compose.yaml. And then whenever we do type the command Docker compose up, you see, you say goodbye to sprawling Docker commands and say hello to Docker compose up. So all we need to do is Docker compose up, and we have our network up instead of as opposed to always coming to type the Docker run command. So I'm just going to take everything up here and I'm just going to paste this. So when I paste this, so we just need to check down here, you see. So we now have our Docker compose generated for us. So we have our container name, we have the ports where it will be running. The container name is Stellar, and then the image is Stellar Quick Start. So the command is so the command we're going to be running is dash standalone enable Soroban RPC. So if we go back to this, so you see here, so we have this dash standalone. So these are the commands that accompany the image. So let's go put this in a Docker Compose file and try to run it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy everything here and I'm going to take it to a Docker Compose file. So I'm going to create I'm just going to create a folder on my machine and I'm going to call it Soroban. So just going to make sure that I open the Soroban on Visual Studio Code. So I have opened my Visual Studio Code, so I need to go to terminal now. So whatever I saw on that Docker Compose file, so I copied it here. So I'm going to be typing Docker Compose, and then I'm going to call it YAML.yaml. So it's going to be Docker Compose.yaml. So I just copied the content I had from the Composerize online tool. So I'm going to be pasting it on my Docker Compose.yaml. So now I'm just going to name this project. I'm going to call it local RPC server. So local run, or let's just call it local run. So now this is our entire so what I need to do to get Stellar up and running is just to do docker dash compose up and then with an enter. So this is going to be pulling the image. So if you look at the diagram I showed you earlier, so there was this diagram. So in this diagram, let's see. So you see here that we are pulling the image from here. So you see, so right now, so we are pulling the image. So that means this section of it is working. So the image is being pulled to our system. So what command did we use to pull the image? So we are using the Docker run command, but it's also pulling the image because the image wasn't found. So if you do a Docker run, it tries to look for the image here. So when the image is not found, it goes to the registry to pull the image to this place also. Or you can pull the image first of all before you run the image. So now we have so the network is now running on our machine. So let's follow the admin guide to test if we have the network started. So now we just need to do this. So we just need to try to do this and see what we are going to get. So let's see. I'm going to open another terminal here. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to open the git bash terminal and try to run this coil command and let's see. Oh, let's kind of see what happens when we decide to paste it on the browser. Okay, so we have it up here. So I'm just gonna clear, and then we're gonna paste this coil command here, and let's see what we get. Empty reply from the server. So I think this is quite telling. So let's kind of try coil with a URL that doesn't really work. Let's import that. See, you see the difference here is clear. Here is it failed to connect to localhost port after this, but here is it empty reply from the server. That means something is up there running at that port. So it's a very big difference. So now we have Postgres user Stella. So you see we have some details here. So we have like the secret key, our network root ID. We have a lot of information here. And then, so the next steps, we'll be using this network in our upcoming tutorial. So we'll be using this network in our upcoming tutorials as you see here. So now we have it up and running. So we can actually interact with this network now by adding it. So you see, so we can interact with this local network now. So before, when we start our project, we can actually do Stellar network add, and then we can add this standalone network. So just like we did in the previous tutorial, and then we can also generate keys as well. And then we could use this. We could later use this when we start deploying our smart contract to say, for example, Stellar contract deploy. So you're going to see me use this local network to deploy smart contracts and also invoke the smart contract. So now this is how you set up a local network on your system using Docker for development. As you can see, our network is running. So thank you for listening and see you in the next one. So as you can see, when we try to do the coil command, the second time, this is what we get when we try to do the coil command the second time. So we have information about the network, you see, and then we have like the accounts. We have a lot of things here. So we can actually use this one to work with.